Hi everyone. So here I am, still no closer to figuring out what on earth it is I want to be in the future. Um, People say one should make plans and set up a goal. And I ask you with tears in my eyes, how do I set up a goal when I have no clue what it is that I want to be, what it is that I can be, or even what I'm good at? I've done various things. I studied, yes. I did my schooling and completed that. I studied commerce and I studied a Bachelor of Arts in Psychology. I don't practice in either of those fields, although in fairness, everything is psychology and everything else is business. Because realistically, even managing your own bank account is business. But I don't practice in those fields. I don't particularly enjoy doing administrative type of work. I would way rather be mucking up in a garden or out rescuing animals or something to that effect. But living in South Africa, it's ridiculously difficult to go out and do things as a woman on your own. And you're thinking, well, there are millions of people who do it. Yeah. I was raised on fear. I wasn't raised on love. In my mind, I believe we have two states. The one is fear and the other is love. Can they coexist? Yes. Yes. And as I say, this is my opinion. I do believe that fear is a natural reaction to, sorry, that's incense that's decided it's going to go magoo. Fear is an instinct that'll kick in when our body needs to protect ourselves. Now, if you're raised without love and everything you do is dictated by fear, so everything you do has some or other form of either you do this or else attached to it. No encouragement, no what do you want to do. You basically have no choice. You're basically forced into a situation where you do what you got to do in order to keep safe. And if you're doing what you're not supposed to be doing, your fear will prevent you from getting caught. Because you're safe as long as you aren't caught. So that's effectively how my brain has worked. It's always been, I have to go out and get a job, otherwise I'll end up on the street. I have to support myself, otherwise I'll end up on the street. I have to earn enough money so that I can feed myself. I need to buy a car so that I can get from A to B. I need to get an education or I won't get a job. You know, always been that type of thing. I have to go to work at a specific time because if I'm late, I will get punished and I could lose my job, and then I can't keep the roof over my head and I can't feed myself. So all of that is fear. I've never had anyone to keep my back. I've never had a safety net. It's always been a case of do or die. And that creates a fear mindset. Can you love while you're in a state of fear? Well, I'd have to say yes. From my perspective, yes. Because I have loved a lot. A lot. I really have. I've given a lot of love. And I'm not speaking purely about a partner or a relationship with, in my case, a man, or when I was younger, a boy. I'm speaking about I've loved animals. I've loved a lot of different things. I love the sunbeam. I love my sunbeam. Within 2 days of continual rain, I'm climbing up the wall. All I want is my sunbeam. I can cope with winter if I can find a sheltered spot and a sunbeam. So, yes, love and fear can coexist. But what is the motivator? Is the motivator love or is the motivator fear? And can fear override love? Well, sometimes fear can override love. Think of a hypothetical situation where I need to go somewhere to see somebody, to visit a friend. And in order to get there, I have no choice but to drive through a particularly seedy, dangerous part of town, or on a road where we know there are many hijackings or attacks. It doesn't matter how much I love the person I'm going to see or the place I'm going to go. The fear can override my desire to go there. It can override it. And if it doesn't override it, for whatever reason, I manifest physical symptoms while I'm trying to get where I'm going. So my body generates a fear response within itself, and I end up, well, my body produces excess stomach acid. So I end up with the most phenomenal stomach ache. And when I tell you it's phenomenal, it's off the wall painful. To me. But from a love perspective, I may push my way through it. I may decide it is worth taking the risk. And I may put my safety to one side. That is now as a middle-aged female. When I was younger, I had the attitude of, what's the worst that can happen? I can die. And death isn't so bad. So I would, and I'm not proud to say this, I would race on the streets of Johannesburg. I would dice various vehicles. In fact, I diced an ambulance once. And one of the paramedics at a robot, or stoplight, whatever you call it, stuck his head out the window and said to me, "Are you insane? Aren't you scared you're going to have an accident?" I said, "Well, what's the worst that can happen? I have an accident, there's an ambulance right here. And the worst that can happen is I can die, and death isn't so bad." So I've always had a very fatalistic attitude to life. Until I got older, until I got additional responsibilities like pets and things that I had to take care of, people I had to take care of. And in fact, up until the beginning of 2021, I still wanted to be dead, because I couldn't see any point in any of it. And I still can't see any point in any of it. I can't see any reason why I do this whole life thing. I don't see life as fun. It's a constant chore. I need to work to survive. Rinse, repeat. I have a vehicle that isn't particularly safe anymore, and I cannot afford financially to replace it at this stage. So I basically seclude myself or isolate myself, because where do I go? And any finances that I do have, I need to save to replace my vehicle, and the mere pittance that is left over to save the vehicle, to replace the vehicle, doesn't allow me to spend money and go out and have fun. So, okay, we say, what is my goal? What do I want to be? Well, up until 2021, I wanted to be dead. I lived my life from the perspective of, it really doesn't matter. Nothing matters. I don't matter. And then I met my now ex-partner and fell in love. Probably one of the dumbest things I've done. And yet, that heartbreak that I was left with is what has gotten me to the point where I am now looking at my life. I'm looking at myself. I'm looking at my childhood. And I'm trying to figure out where, what, when, how and why. I'm trying to unpack, because losing him shattered me, literally. And yet, I don't want to be dead anymore, because what if he comes back? What if? What if I had some form of impact on him, that he looks back and realizes he made a monumental mistake? What if? Well, realistically, I can't sit around and wait. And yet, that's what I do. I wait. I don't know what I'm waiting for anymore. I don't know if I'm waiting to keel over. I don't know if I'm waiting for the bomb to drop. I don't know if I'm waiting for some form of miracle to happen. But I do know that I can't wait for anything anymore. That I need to figure out what on earth it is that will bring me joy. What will make me happy? And please don't go into your whole diatribe of happiness comes from within and blah blah fish-based. Spare me the crap. Yes, happiness comes from within. So does sadness. So does misery. So does hatred. So does love. So spare me the bull. Spare me the little sayings and the little quotes and the pretty pictures with crap written on them. I'm not particularly interested. I need to figure out what it is that'll make me happy, what it is that'll make me feel worthwhile, what it is that'll make me feel life is worthwhile. What is it that makes the daily grind of earning an income in order to be alive worth it? So where do I start? There's no point in trying to find a goal. I don't even know what I like anymore. The one thing I do enjoy is flying aeroplanes. And yes, I did get my private pilot's license. But unfortunately that has lapsed. And unfortunately, there was an old saying in the Lanseria Flight Center when I was flying. There was a picture up on the wall with a saying on it that said, if God intended man to fly, he would have been born with more money. And that is the irony of it. If I had more money, I could fly. So how do I earn that money to be able to fly? To be able to afford not only to get my license back up to date again, but to actually hire and fly, or preferably purchase and hangar an aircraft. And bear in mind that all things aviation, from a South African's perspective, are traded in dollars. Everything is traded in dollar. And I think the South African president has now annoyed the American president to such an extent that, gosh, we're sitting at 23 Rand to $1. So, for me to buy a book from America, a book, an e-book, costs me more than I can afford, because the exchange rate is off the wall. It is off the wall. And of course, this delightful president who, after being a party to the government for nearly 30 years, and he has been, and party to the previous government, the previous president's corruption, because I think he was the deputy president at that stage, has finally realized that the city of Joburg's infrastructure is collapsing. Woo! Really? Really? And then people wonder why there is no faith in South Africa. People wonder why there is no faith in the government. I mean, this individual has taken the premier or minister or deputy minister or attorney general or whatever it is. They've probably got about 50 portfolios for the same thing with 50 different people in it. He's taken that person on because the city of Johannesburg is falling apart. And now he's going to set up a committee. He's going to set up a committee to figure out how to fix Johannesburg. Now, Johannesburg is the economic hub of South Africa. It is collapsing. 5 years ago, there were reports that approximately 60% of the bridges crossing roads and that vehicles drive on were very close to collapse. 5 years ago. And last week, the president of the country discovered that the city of Johannesburg is falling apart. What? So, the moral of the story is aviation is a non-starter. I need to figure out something alternative to that. And it's actually funny because when I originally started my aviation journey, I had decided it was so that I could terminate myself. Because to me it was the most guaranteed method of ending my life without harming anybody else. And of course the aircraft were all insured, so it wouldn't have been an issue. So that was why I started flying. And flying, I thoroughly enjoyed. And I didn't want to end my life. But of course, I wasn't allowed to fly while I was on antidepressants. I mean, talk about an irony here. So, you're allowed to be clinically depressed and fly as long as you don't take antidepressants. If you take antidepressants which prevent you from wanting to be dead, you're not allowed to fly. There's something fundamentally wrong with that, but hey, who am I to question what the authorities have decided? So, at this stage, no, I'm not on any antidepressants. I actually don't take any mood stabilizing medications at all. I numbed myself for a good 20 odd years at the insistence of the medical professionals. And just an FYI, they don't stop you from wanting to terminate. what they do is they numb you. They numb you to living. And please don't get me wrong, there are instances where the medication is desperately required. But it's not a global catch-all. The big issue with mental health is that the human population is not living the way we are designed to live. We are not designed to wake up at 5 a.m., get ready, go to work, spend an entire day, possibly part of the night, working in order to earn an income so that we can come home and sleep somewhere and rinse, repeat. We are not designed to be like that. We are not designed to be isolated individuals. We are designed to be communal. We are designed to look out for each other, protect each other, care for each other. The human species is actually a communal species. So a lot of the mental health issues that people experience are being experienced due to a society that is frankly buggered. Society is buggered. It's dog eat dog out there. People don't care who they step on to get to the top. People don't care who they bankrupt to get where they're going. Families don't care about each other. Some families do. Some people do. You know, we've got to work on the law of averages here. And we have to bear in mind that I'm speaking from my perspective. And my perspective says family sucks. My perspective says most friends are going to use you for as long as they can, and then they're going to throw you away. Literally throw you away. My love life dictates you're going to get thrown away. So now you're probably saying, oh, well, she's got abandonment issues. Yeah. No shit, Sherlock. With just cause. But all of that is beside the point. I was prohibited from doing what I wanted to do because in order to be able to fly an aeroplane, I had to work. And in order to survive the male-dominated industry that I was in and the lack of support I'd received throughout my childhood and young adulthood from the family unit, I had to take antidepressants. So due to society and the need to survive, I was unable to do that one thing that I really enjoyed doing, and I really enjoyed doing it. You might wonder why I enjoyed doing it. Well, there's nothing quite like being able to soar in the sky where nobody is judging you. Nobody judged me. Well, obviously I had to be competent, and obviously I had to know how to fly the aeroplane, and I couldn't screw up, and I couldn't break the various aviation regulations. And I had to know how the aeroplane worked and preferably not prang the blasted thing. And of course, take it off and put it back down on the ground again. But it was an activity that I could do on my own. It was an activity I could do on my own. Because realistically, the friends I had weren't. They would tell me about all the fun they'd had. You know, when I was in my 20s, apparently it was a must-do to go out and drink copious amounts of alcohol all weekend. And to me, that's not fun. To me, sitting in a shady pub somewhere is not fun. And don't get me wrong, I did enjoy going out on a Friday night and having a few drinks. I didn't enjoy the being hit on, the judgmental looks, the you have to get drunk and fall down. I didn't enjoy that. So aviation was something I could do on my own. And I enjoyed being able to fly. I enjoyed being in the sky. I loved it up there. And one day, hopefully before I'm too old to be able to, I will be able to. But in the meantime, where do I start? How do I figure out the beginning point if I don't know the end goal? I suppose you could say the end goal would be to end up flying again. But how do I get there? Because in order to get there, I need to find something that I can do that isn't going to drain the life out of me, but that I'm going to be able to say, okay, this is worth it. This is worth it. And hopefully enjoy it, because I may never be able to fly again. You know, as one gets older, one's eyesight starts getting weaker, one's hearing starts getting weaker. So I may never be able to fly again. But maybe I can find something that I can do that I will enjoy doing. But I don't know where to start. I have no clue. I'm not big on getting another qualification. I'm not big on running around to go and find people who care about me. I don't even know what I enjoy anymore. I don't know what I find fun anymore. Things I used to enjoy, I don't. I just don't. I used to enjoy spending time at flea markets. I used to enjoy going to an open air environment and listening to music and maybe having lunch. All of that costs money. And gosh, it would be really nice if I had someone to do that with. And the last someone I had, well, he threw me away. And somehow it's just not the same anymore. I just can't see any point in it anymore. So where do I go to from here? How do I even begin to figure out where I go to from here? And you notice everything's in the first person. Because at the end of the day, the last time I spoke to another human was on Thursday morning. And I'm now sitting on Sunday. So, where do I go to from here? What is the next step that I need to take? Do I try and find a hut somewhere in the middle of a mountain and just disappear from society? Become a subsistence farmer? Preferably somewhere where I'm not going to be attacked and murdered for my land because some government official has decided that land expropriation is a great idea. Because heaven forbid that people should work for what they get. They must have it given to them on a silver platter. And of course the irony of it all is this entire land expropriation thing is a smokescreen. Because at the end of the day, the South African government owns the vast majority of the land in this country. They're just too bloody stupid to develop it or to farm it. So they want to take stuff that other people have worked for and worked on. That's the irony of the entire thing. And they're too stupid to see it. And the rest of the world is too stupid to see it. And sorry, I'm generalizing. I'm using a word like stupid that probably will get me flamed and 50 million nasty comments saying, "How dare you call me stupid?" Well, the mere fact that you say that tells me that you think you are stupid. The reality of it all is that everything that governments do is to divide and conquer. It's to divide the populace. It's to create fear. How do you conquer populations? You make them fight with each other. That is how fucked up our society is. Make people fight with each other. Divide and conquer. And politicians, people in government, senates, whatever you want to call them, throughout the ages have done this. And the societies that do work, they don't divide and conquer. They unite everybody and make everybody work together. Nobody is better than anybody else. Of course, in those societies, there are people who are better because they have all the money, they have all the land, they have all the power. But all of this is beside the point. Where do I start? Where do I start? How do I plan if I don't know what I'm planning for? Barring my funeral, which I don't want to have anyway, so yeah, whatever. And when I say don't want to have, I mean I suspect nobody would even attend. So they may as well just throw me on a rubbish dump. Because hell, if people couldn't see me and keep me when I'm alive, why bother once I've passed? And yes, there is at least one person who may listen to this and say, well, that's not fair, because I will. And yes, you probably will. But then you also know where I'm coming from, and you also understand what I'm getting at. So where do I start when I don't know what the ending is? How do I plan when I don't know what I'm waiting for? Because I am waiting. I am waiting. Anyway, that's me for now. Maybe you need to think about where you want to be. What does your life look like at the end? What makes you happy now? And what is going to make you happy now until then? And how do you get there while being happy? Anyway, have a great day now.